everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Katie, and today we are going to be talking about my worst books of 2024. So this is everybody's favorite videos of the year. Mine too. I love talking about like my least favorites and most favorites. Most favorites will be tomorrow, so we'll get there. We'll get there. We always start off with our least favorites and work our way up to the best. So this video is going to do a little bit of ranting for now, and this does not include any books that I did not finish, that I quit reading, because I do not do that. I think I have a video coming out about that in January on the ones that I DNF'd, did not finish. But today we're just going to talk about the books that I finished that I did not like, or were disappointments, because honestly most of these I did not like strongly did not like, but there was one or two that were just really big disappointments for me. And I don't have many, honestly, this year, which I'm really happy about. I only have 6 books on this list, so that's not bad to have on my most or least favorite list. I found another book, so 7 books I have to talk about with you all. So we're going to start off from like my least hated to my most hated, I guess, or least to worst, I guess. So all of these deserved between a 1 and 2.5 star rating. I don't think anything got above a 2.5 star. And I think I only have a physical copy of one of these books, because it was kind of a disappointment, but I still thought it was okay. So the first one that was just kind of a bit of a disappointment for me was Lady Jane Disappears by Joanna Davidson Politano. So the year before, I read The Lost Melody, which was literally like one of my all-time favorite books of all time. I love it so much. So when I started to get into this, I was like, oh, this is gonna be 5-6 stars easily. And I was just kind of disappointed. I thought it was more slow-paced, not as much mystery going on as what I really wanted, but I still liked it. But I think I rated it like 3 stars. It was just more of a disappointment that I didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to, especially because the cover is absolutely amazing on this one. But it was just a more of a disappointment. But if you don't have like high expectations, I think you would really enjoy this one. So this is about a woman whose father dies suddenly and leaves her his pen name so she can continue writing with his pen name. And then so she goes and visits family, and she kind of integrates their lives into her storytelling, and that kind of leads to really bad things happening. So I did like it, but as I said, it was just a little bit of a disappointment for me. Next book, which was another disappointment, that was Adorning the Dark by Andrew Peterson. This was a buddy read with my friend Krista over at Books and Jams on her channel, and it was just okay to me. Like, I honestly thought going into it, I thought it was going to be a book on not necessarily how to write, but encouragement for writing. But it was more of a biography about his life, more about his music writing versus like his actual like book writing, which I thought that's what it was going to be about, his book writing. So I was kind of very, very disappointed with the direction. And also I felt like he contradicted himself a lot and kind of put down people's choice in music as well, even Christian music choices. And so I was like, those types of things I really didn't like in his book. So for the most part, it just really wasn't for me, which was unfortunate because I like his fiction books. But yes, that was just an unfortunate book that I did not like. Then the next one is Summer Change by Melissa Ray. And I think this one it was good, but I think it had too many adult themes for teenagers. And I think this was supposed to be geared more towards like a Christian audience, but there was no faith in it. I don't think it was necessarily like categorized as Christian fiction, but like I think like when the company contacted me, they said that their books were like clean. I'm not sure if they say Christian or not, but I can't remember. But this one definitely had no faith in it, and there was very, very strong elements of underage drinking. It was set in Australia, I believe, so I'm not sure about the age for Australia, but I'm pretty sure they were underage drinkers. I think there was a little bit of drug use as well, and there was talks about explicit love scenes, but like they didn't show it. They talked about it happening. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even off screen or anything. They just talked about how they did it or whatever, and it wasn't explicit. I'm like, it was still there, but I did really appreciate the main character and how she stuck with her morals. So that's the part that I really enjoyed. Other than that, it was okay to me. But I did really love the neighbor though. I did really like him. He was a good love interest for her. But as far as like, it's more like the adult themes and should this really be in a teenage book that was supposed to be clean? That's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's good to talk about these types of situations with your teens, but like, I don't know if it necessarily needs to be in the books your teens read, if you know what I mean. But I'm glad the main character had morals. Then the next book is This one was just a huge disappointment. The Dancing with Mr. Darcy. It was a short story collection. It was supposed to be like a little bit on Emily, or sorry. It was a little bit about Jane Austen's life and a mixture of like retellings on her different characters and her different stories. But I felt like a lot of them, like, you either couldn't see the similarities. They were all boring. One story was a little explicit. The only story I liked was the very first one. But other than that, they were so, honestly, very, very dull and very boring. I honestly thought most of them were going to be like kind of retellings, but a lot of them were like a character was reading a Jane Austen book. And I'm like, that's not really like, influenced by her work or anything. It's just, a character reading her book. So yeah, I really did not like that short story collection, which is unfortunate. I really wanted to try it, but nope. Next book is Pull Me Under by Kelly Lucy, and technically I did have a copy, but I unhauled it. It actually could be on the floor right now, waiting to get unhauled. But that one was just okay to me, and I didn't really like it. It was like a coming-of-age story. It was about a girl who she kills a classmate of hers and is sent to like a juvenile place, and it's pretty much disowned by her father. And so when she's finally of age, they finally tell her, listen, you can stay in this country, but I think she had to change her name and like renounce her heritage and stuff because she's half American and half, I can't remember what country she was from right now. So they pretty much, she's not full blood, so like they don't want her in the country. So she decides to go to America, and so it's all about her growing up, kind of learning a new life and stuff. And I don't know, I just found it very, very kind of more boring, more slow paced. She finds herself back in the country after her father passes away, and I don't know, I just found it very, very boring and very dry. So I was like, it's not for me. The cover is really gorgeous though. Next book was The Natural Genius of Ants by Betty Culley. And number one, I'm not a fan of bugs anyways anymore. I used to when I was little, but that kind of was like, it was just so boring. The family dynamic was kind of boring. Nothing was really happening throughout the entire story. It's about these two kids whose father, something happens in his work office. He's a doctor that puts him into depression. And so it talks a lot about depression, but he decides to take his two sons on a trip to kind of have a more family connection. So I like that part. But other than that, it was very, very boring and very, very slow. And there was also a relationship in there that I did not like. It was like, it kind of like slid it in the book, if you know what I mean. Like one of those agenda type books. And I was like, it just slid it right in there. It wasn't even part of the story. Wasn't even relevant to the story at all. And I was just like, yeah, so wasn't happy with that. Then the last one, which was the biggest disappointment of the year. I read it in the beginning of the year. Still kind of remember what it was about. It was called Serenade for Gladys by Durwood Smith. And it was a detective book, and I can't remember exactly what the story was about, but all I remember is it was supposed to be Christian fiction. And I remember there being quite a bit of language, not like a lot as in a lot, but there was at least one like per every couple chapters. And I'm like, this is a Christian book? Like, there's not supposed to be swearing in Christian fiction. So that was like the biggest disappointment to me. But the writing style was terrible. I really did not like the writing style. I felt like, I think that book was the one where I was reading the physical copy of it, and there was no breaks in between which character was talking. Like, it was just like a new paragraph. There wasn't like a little symbol or a little, spot to make it clear that a new character is coming in. So that really bothered me. I was like, I need to know who's talking here. Like, don't just switch characters like in like a paragraph. Like, let me know the name of the character, or at least have like a little symbol and like the name in the first paragraph or whatever. But yeah, it was like, that was bad. So I did not enjoy that one at all. I think I gave it 1 star. And I did not enjoy that one at all. So that was my least favorite one because of those reasons. And yes, and the story was not that great. So yeah, I can't really tell you much about it because I don't remember much about it. Thankfully, I do not, because I did not enjoy that one. So those are all the books that I did not like in 2024. And, it's just a heads up in case you're wondering what these books are about or whatever. Some of them I would recommend for others, like that Andrew Peterson book or Joanna Davidson Politano. Those books I would recommend to others because they just weren't for me. Others, I'm like, I don't think anybody should read these. So yeah, so those are my opinions, and only my opinions. If you have different opinions, that's totally okay. We're all here sharing our different opinions. And, you know, if you say you hated a book that I loved, you know, and, you know, I'm only teasing you if I say, you know, with a little shock face, no, I'm just teasing you because it, you know, every person has different opinions, and that's a-okay. All right, so hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video.